Greetings, everyone. I'm Skyla, and it was my sister-in-law, Julia, who encouraged me to share my story. Julia and I share a strong bond, having worked together before I met my now husband Noah through her. I am truly grateful to Julia for introducing us, and Noah and I have built a wonderful life together. While Julia and Noah are fantastic people, Noah's mother Susan is a different story. Upon our introduction, Susan openly expressed her dislike for me, creating tension in our relationship. Despite Noah's efforts to change his mother's opinion, Susan remained hostile. Over time, I realized the extent of her problematic behavior, especially during our wedding, where she falsely accused me of ruining her dress. Noah and I frequently clashed over his mother, but Susan's presence persisted. Being a single mom, Susan held onto Noah tightly, making it difficult for him to cut ties. The turning point occurred on our first anniversary when Julia warned me about Susan's plan to humiliate me. Susan, determined to tarnish my image, intended to frame me for stealing her heirloom necklace. Despite my attempts to intervene, Susan remained steadfast in her malicious intentions. This revelation added another layer of stress to our already strained relationship, as I navigated the challenges of preserving my marriage while dealing with Susan's disruptive presence. As our first anniversary approached, I faced the dilemma of inviting Susan or protecting my peace of mind. Despite Noah's desire to include his mother, the looming threat of Susan's schemes cast a shadow over what should have been a joyous occasion with close friends and family. I had hoped for a joyful celebration with everyone, but Susan's presence cast a shadow over the occasion. Despite learning about her plans from Julia, I hesitated to inform Noah. I believed he needed to confront the reality of his mother's actions and sever ties with her. Vigilant, I kept a watchful eye on Susan, but never caught her in the act. As the day of the anniversary party arrived, Julia and I remained unable to intercept Susan. However, the situation took a turn when Susan approached me with a menacing threat. During the party, as I was refilling my drink, she cornered me and accused me of orchestrating a scheme to take Noah away from her. Confused by her baseless claims, I questioned her connection between my marriage anniversary and her perceived competition. Undeterred, Susan insisted that I was responsible for Noah distancing himself from her. Her ominous warning hinted at the impending drama she had planned. Julia stayed close, recognizing the potential for Susan's disruptive behavior. As the party continued, Susan excused herself to put on her jewelry, only to return in distress, claiming her necklace and earrings were missing. Julia and I exchanged knowing glances, realizing that Susan had orchestrated a scheme to frame me. Despite Susan's theatrical display of distress, we maintained our composure, silently observing her attempts to convince the guests that I had stolen her jewelry. As people questioned her about the missing items, Susan tearfully responded, but suddenly feigned realization and exclaimed, "Wait a minute now. I understand that my jewelry has been stolen. I have a strong suspicion about who might have taken it." "Mom, what are you talking about? I'm sure you have misplaced it, and it's lying somewhere here. We don't have many visitors, so how could it get stolen?" "Noah, you don't understand. No one broke into the house or came from outside to steal my precious jewelry. It is your greedy wife who took it." Susan's accusation left everyone gasping, as she pointed directly at me as the culprit. Noah appeared shocked and somewhat embarrassed by his mother's words. Yet, I knew he trusted me implicitly and wouldn't entertain the idea for a moment that I'd stolen from his mom. Despite his love for his mother, his trust in me remained steadfast. "No, Mom, I don't think this is fair. You're throwing false accusations at Skyla. She would never do something like this. You must have misplaced it." No, Noah, you have to believe me. Remember how Skyla gushed about my heirloom jewelry? She knew I would never let her have it, so she stole it from me." "Mom, those are baseless accusations. Skyla was merely complimenting the design. She never once asked you to give her the necklace." "Noah, my poor child, you are blinded by love. You have to see how vile and greedy your wife is. She is the one who stole my jewelry. That's why she never asked to borrow it from me. She wanted it for herself. At this point, Noah and Susan engaged in a heated argument, while the rest of the guests watched in disbelief. It was deeply embarrassing to be accused of theft on my own anniversary, something I never anticipated. However, I resolved to handle the situation with dignity. Susan, you have some nerve to make accusations about me in my own home. You think I'm a lowly thief who would go after your jewelry? You are dead wrong. I am above that. Don't try to act all innocent and angelic, Skyla. I know for a fact that you took my jewelry last night. I saw you going into my room and coming out the back. I didn't think anything of it since it's your house, but now it all makes sense. You were stealing my jewelry. Susan, you need to stop making baseless assumptions. You have no right to ruin my reputation without any evidence. Who knows what you did with your jewelry? Don't blame it on me. Okay then, if I'm lying, why don't we go and check your room? I am 100% positive that I will find my jewelry there. We have plenty of witnesses as well. Noah, you cannot just invade our privacy like that. It's rude and disrespectful. Leave it be. At this point, I don't care, Noah. Your mom has taken it too far. If we don't allow it, everyone here will always doubt that I am a thief. It's a big allegation, Noah. Noah looked torn between his loyalty to his mother and his trust in me. While he understood his mother's frustration, he also recognized the severity of her accusations without evidence. It was clear that I needed to do everything possible to clear my name. So Noah relented and told his mom to go check our room. As we all went, people started looking around, including Susan, the woman who had stirred up this unnecessary drama. She went straight to my closet, pulled out the jewelry box, and exclaimed, "Look, Noah, I found my jewelry. It was in your wife's closet." I was right. She freaking stole my stuff because she is greedy and jealous. No, this is impossible. I know my wife wouldn't steal jewelry from you. I don't know how it got there. You didn't take it, right, Skyla? Of course, I didn't, Noah. You know I'm not a thief. Oh, really, Skyla? Then how did my previous jewelry set end up in your closet? There is no way you can get out of this, Skyla. You should have confessed and given me my stuff back. I'm sorry, Noah, but I think I need to call the police. Noah stood there looking dumbfounded while Susan called the police. Whispers circulated around the room, and many couldn't believe what they were witnessing. It was peak humiliation for me, but I stayed composed, waiting for the police to arrive as Susan berated me, calling me names and saying awful things. She said, "Noah, this is it. I know you didn't believe me when I said that Skyla is a gold digger. I'm sure now you know that I was right. You need to get smart and divorce her. No one wants a thief in the family. She will get arrested by the cops now anyway." Mom, I don't think it was wise of you to call the cops. You may not like what happens next. What do you mean, Julia? I wasn't going to let Skyla get away with theft. People who commit crimes should be punished. There should be no room for mercy, or else they will get worse. I think Julia is right, Susan. You shouldn't have called the cops. This will only turn worse for you. But since you already called the cops, there's no going back. How will this turn worse for me when you are the one committing a crime? I would love to see that smug smile off your face. At that point, I started to laugh. Julia was smirking and shaking her head. Everyone looked at me like I was crazy, supposedly getting arrested, but I was laughing anyway. After calming down, I said, "Susan, I must say you had a brilliant plan in mind. It's truly remarkable how you carefully planned to trap me and make me look like a thief." What do you mean? You were a thief since you stole my stuff. Oh God, Mom, have some shame. You are really crossing all limits. We know that Skyla didn't steal your jewelry. It's all a trap you set to make her look guilty. Julia shocked everyone with that declaration. Susan looked a little nervous, but she wasn't giving up her plan. She acted innocent and clueless, saying, "What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Julia is the thief. Quit the act." Susan, you thought that you could plan to trap me, and I wouldn't know. Julia told me everything. She told me you were going to accuse me of theft and trap me. I had known it before the party. How dare you say that? You are influencing my poor child and making her say things you have no proof of your claims, Mom. We didn't have proof that you told me about your plan, but we do have a better way to prove what you did. That's right. Now, to protect my reputation, I will tell you what proof I have. You called the cops, so I would have had to reveal this anyway. What do you mean, Skyla? What proof are you talking about? Did you forget that we have cameras in the house? Guys, the look on Susan's face was priceless. She turned as white as a ghost and started to shake a little. She had totally forgotten this fact. Maybe she assumed we only had cameras in the front yard. She may not have thought that the inside of my house also had cameras. Noah also suddenly remembered this, and he said, "That's right. Even I forgot about the cameras. We have cameras in the hallway with a clear view of every room from outside. We can check that for the true story." Why would we do that, Noah? I'm your mom, and I'm telling you that Skyla stole from me. We don't have to prove my words. Why are you going back now? Mom, I thought you wanted to get to the bottom of this. I don't believe for a second that my wife is a thief. Even if you don't want to see the proof, I do. I need to see with my own eyes that she stole from you. Otherwise, I wouldn't believe it. Susan did her best to stop Noah from seeing the CCTV footage. I pulled out the saved footage on my phone, and we started to look through the videos. Meanwhile, the cops arrived and were given a brief rundown by everyone. Susan immediately went to them and said, "Officers, you need to arrest my daughter-in-law, Skylar. She stole my jewelry. We found it in her closet. She's a criminal. You need to arrest her now." I don't think so, Susan. Officers, I have proof that my mother-in-law tracked me and is making false claims against me. Mom, do you have solid proof against your mother-in-law? I do have solid proof. Actually, my home has cameras. This is the footage it recorded from yesterday. I handed my phone to the officers to see. Noah and the rest saw that footage later. The footage clearly showed that Susan took her jewelry box from her room and went into my room when I wasn't home. When she came out, she didn't have the box with her. It proved that Susan had put her jewelry box in my room on purpose. Everyone was shocked, and Noah straight up started to shout at Susan. Susan looked at him with fear in her eyes and actually started to cry. I had never seen Noah so angry. He said, "Mom, how could you do this to my wife? Skyla has been nothing but kind to you, and you backstab her like this. What is wrong with you?" Noah, please let me explain. No, just no. I don't want to hear anything from you, Mom. I'm done. I am so done with you. You tried to destroy my wife's life and reputation on our anniversary. I will never forgive that. I seriously cannot believe how low you stooped, Mom. God, I'm ashamed of having a mom like you. I don't think I want any contact with you from now on. Julia, you are absolutely right in your decision. In fact, I have the same thing in mind. Mom, we are done. Don't ever come near me or my wife again. We will go no contact with you. Hearing that, Susan started to cry loudly. She clutched Noah's arm and tried to reason with Julia as well, begging them to forgive her. It was prophetic, and the guests were shaking their heads at Susan. Most of the guests were family, so they didn't hold back their criticisms against Susan. Not one person stood in her support. Finally, the cops told me, "Mom, do you know that you can file a report against your mother-in-law for these false accusations?" Yes, I do know that, officer. Thanks for reminding me, though. So, would you like to go ahead and press charges? I would suggest you do that. We will arrest her now and get her out of your way. I see you have a party to host. Yes, officers, I would like to press charges. Please arrest her and accept my apology for this drama. Noah, you don't mind, do you? Absolutely not, Skyla. What Mom did was horribly wrong. You should be pressing charges. I give you my full support. Suddenly, it was all too much for our dear Susan. The cops descended on her and began handcuffing her while she struggled. They warned her that they could charge her for resisting arrest, but Susan wasn't in her right mind. She screamed and cried while begging Noah, Julie, and even me for forgiveness. Skyla, please don't do this to me. I'm your mother-in-law. What will people say when they see me get arrested? You didn't care when you called the cops on me, now did you? Why should I care? I'm right to get you arrested. You have wronged me. I'm sorry, Skyla. I shouldn't have done this. Look, we're family. We can solve this between ourselves. There is no need to get the cops involved now. Now, Susan, I distinctly remember you saying that criminals should not be spared, or else they will get worse. Seeing that you can easily evolve into a menace to this society, I absolutely have a duty as a concerned citizen to get you arrested. Susan looked shocked when I threw her words back at her. She also kept crying and mumbling apologies while everyone criticized her. The cops didn't waste much time and took her away. Noah and I went with them to the police station to file a report. Meanwhile, Julie stayed behind to tend to the guests. After Noah and I got to the police station, we filed an official report. I was going to sue her for good. She had done enough damage in my life and escalated badly. But still, I wanted Noah to be completely on board with me too. Noah, are you sure you're okay with this? If you're not comfortable with a police report, we can always go back. No, Skyla, we're not going back without a police report. We need to do this now. I have failed to protect you from my mom. She was about to destroy your life. I can't put this past me. You know that I didn't doubt you for a second, right? I know, Noah. Your mom being a psycho is not your fault. It's completely on her. Noah felt very guilty for not being able to protect me better. I understood his pain. He did love his mom very much. It's difficult to know that the woman who gave birth to you is an evil woman. But he still gave me the go-ahead to file the report. And so I did. He also promised never to let Susan back in our lives. We agreed to go to couples counseling to get a better grip on our marriage. Noah and I did return to the party, and we decided to continue with the celebration. The food was there, the people were there, and we were surrounded by supportive family and friends. We had no reason to just discard everything for one person. It was our anniversary after all. So, we resumed the celebrations and had a blast. Julia also had a great time too. All this while, my dear mother-in-law Susan was rotting in jail. So Susan didn't want the case to go to court after all. She made a settlement with my lawyer. I got a decent chunk of money while she got away with what she did. I really hope she changes her behavior after that. I say I hope because we are no longer in contact with Susan. Noah, me, and Julia all cut her off, as did some of her family members. The others simply don't entertain her anymore, but didn't block her straight away. I mean, who knows when she would fancy trapping other family members out of spite. Anyway, since we cut contact with Susan, my marriage improved a lot. The couple's counseling helped as well. We are currently expecting our first child and plan to keep our dear son away from Susan too.